So in grade 9, you factorized using 4 techniques: common factor, difference of two squares, grouping, and the factorized quadratic trinomials. Those were the 4 ways. Now, in grade 10, you are introduced to another technique which is called factorization by a sum and difference of 2 cubes. Please take note, it's 2 cubes. It's not 2 squares, okay? It's 2 cubes. So for example, if you are given an expression like x cubed plus y cubed, it can be factorized. But when you factorize it, you get 2 factors. One will be a binomial factor, the second one will be a quadratic factor, okay, or a trinomial. Okay? So, when you factorize it, all you have to do is find the cube root of the first term. You will get x. Okay? Can you just put your pen down for a while, please? Right? To get the first binomial factor, you find the cube root of the first term of the original expression, you get x. Since there is a plus here, you also put a plus there. Then find the cube root of y cubed, it's a y. Okay? That will be your first factor, which is a binomial. Now, to get the trinomial factor, can you pay attention? To get the trinomial factor, first square the first term of the binomial factor. You get that. So, if you square x, you get x squared. Then, in terms of signs now, if you have a sum here in your binomial factor, okay, the first sign or the first operation in your trinomial must be the opposite. So those two must be opposites, always, right? Then the middle term will be equal to x times y, and you get xy. Okay? The second operation, okay, it will always be a plus. This sign here will always be a plus. The only one which changes is this one here. It has to be the opposite of the one in the binomial factor. Then the last term of the trinomial, you just square the second term of the binomial, and then you get y squared. Okay, now we can simplify that by saying first term cubed, which in this case will be x cubed, plus last term cubed, which will be y cubed, is going to be equal to first term, okay, plus last term. Okay, remember your first term is going to be x, but we have cubed it. The last term is going to be y, but it's cubed. So your factors will be first term plus last term, right? Then the trinomial factor will be first term squared. If there is a plus here, then you put a sign which is the opposite. In that case, it will be a minus. Then the middle term, it will be the first term times the last term. The third term of the trinomial will be the last term squared. Okay? Now, the same concept applies to a difference of 2 cubes. First term minus the last term times the first term squared. If there is a minus here, then you put a plus there. Okay? The middle term will be the first term times the last term. The third term will be the last term squared. Okay? So make sure you remember this, what I'm indicating. These signs must be opposites, always. Opposite signs. Okay. So, right? Remember that they must be opposites. I also indicated here as well. Be very careful of that. Okay, right. Let's do an example so that you can have a better picture. Okay? Let's do an example. So we are factorizing by a difference in sum of 2 cubes. So I'll start with A1. So we have 27x cubed minus 1. This will be equal to First, we find the cube root, 27. That's a 3. Right? The cube root of x squared, of x cubed, that's x. There's a minus here, so I'll put a minus. Cube root of 1 is 1. Okay? I hope you saw what I did there. I found the cube root of the first term is 3x. The cube root of the second term is going to be a 1. Okay? Then, my binomial factor, the first term of the binomial factor, sorry, it will be equal to the first term of the binomial squared. So in this case here, it will be 3x squared, which is the same as 3 squared times x squared, which is 9x squared. Okay? So you get 9x squared. Then I have a minus here, which means my first sign in the trinomial will be a plus. So I'll put a plus. They must be opposites. You have to be very, very careful when you're factorizing by sum and difference of 2 squares. Then the middle term will be 3x times 1, which will be 3x. Right? The last term is always positive, and it's equal to the last term squared. So that will be 1 squared, which is 1. Right? So I factorize. Unfortunately, you cannot factorize the trinomial. Okay? The trinomial cannot be factorized. So please take note here. They are what? Opposites. Take note of it. Right? Trinomial cannot be factorized. Trinomial cannot, or I'll just say can't be factorized. Don't try it, you waste time. Okay? Trinomial can't be factorized. So you should not try to factorize the trinomial you get when after factorizing a sum and difference of 2 cubes. It cannot be factorized. Okay? Don't even try it, you're wasting time. Alright? So that's, let me do one with a sum, like number 6. Okay? Number 6. I hope you're following that. So number 6 is 5x squared plus 14. Now sometimes you may have to factorize by a common factor first. Okay, I'm sure you know that 5 is not a perfect cube. 40 is not a perfect cube. Therefore, I have to factor out a common factor, which is the 5 first, and I'll have x cubed plus 8. Now I've created a sum of 2 cubes. So this will be 5 times the cube root of x cubed is x plus cube root of 8 is a 2 times the trinomial is going to be the first term squared, so that will be x squared. Since there is a plus here, I'll put a minus. Right? Then x times 2, that will be 2x. The last term of the trinomial will be the last term of the binomial squared, so that will be plus 4. Right? So this will be my final answer. Right? Take note here, there is a plus here, there is a minus. Those signs must be opposite. Right? And again, the trinomial cannot be factorized. Right?